Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.
Ames, just haul your cute ass here as fast as you can and come take your test. Amelia knew Faith was just fighting for her best interests, but with Javier on death's door and her being over an hour away, Amelia had to accept that it was impossible to take the certification exam today. I really appreciate you having my back, but I'm not going to make it back to the office in time. Don't worry about it, though. There has to be exceptions for emergencies. As soon as I can, I'll reach out to Mr. Schultz and beg for a makeup exam. Faith shook her head. Her best friend was the most responsible person she knew. It was unlike her to miss something so important like this. She hoped everything was okay. After a few more words, they hung up the call, and Amelia went to check on Javier. Amelia checked Javier's temperature while he slept and was pleased to see her efforts to lower it had worked after all. She curled up in a chair by Javier's bedside and didn't close her eyes for a moment, afraid his fever might skyrocket again. By midnight, exhaustion had overcome her and she eventually dozed off with her head resting on the edge of the bed. Javier's eyes fluttered open around 1 a.m., and he turned to find her sleeping face. Had she kept vigil beside him all this time? She looked utterly worn out, her delicate, tired face resting awkwardly against her hand. But even in such a disheveled state, there was an endearing charm about her. Max definitely inherited her cuteness, he thought. Without thinking, Javier's long fingers reached out and lightly brushed some loose strands of hair off her face, moving gently from her forehead to her smooth cheek and downward until his thumb swept against her soft lips. His fingertips lingered as though he couldn't bring himself to pull away. Her lips, he remembered the feel of them from the other night, so soft and sweet. His gaze deepened at the thought of it. Just then, she stirred, slowly opening her eyes, and he froze. Normally, the prince had quick reflexes and would have withdrawn his hand, but his injuries made his movements sluggish, so she woke up to his thumb awkwardly resting on her lip. Still in her sleepy haze, Amelia felt something on her lips and instinctively grabbed the offending object, only to startle when she realized it was his hand and quickly let go. Her eyes blinked in confusion, and when they met his, she saw a rare hint of discomfort on his face, before he coolly dismissed the action. You had something on your face. Oh, she mumbled, accepting the explanation without much thought. She leaned in and pressed her hand to his forehead as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Good, we got your fever under control. Are you hungry? Thirsty? Without waiting for a response, she got up. I made soup. I'll bring it over. Javier's gaze lingered on her retreating figure. Even after the door closed behind her, he couldn't look away. All his life, the only people who had ever cared for him were his mother and paid staff. No one had ever cooked for him out of genuine concern before. The women he had dated were all like Paloma, elegant and polished, but their brand of perfection lacked warmth and vitality. His musings were interrupted when Amelia returned with a big, steaming bowl. She carefully adjusted the pillow behind him, then set up a tray for him. She scooped a spoonful of soup, then blew on it to cool it down. Javier peeked into the bowl. What is this? Chicken noodle soup. It's not as fancy as what you're used to, but it's Max's favorite. I make it whenever he's sick or upset, and it always cheers him up, she said with a touch of pride. Is that so? He was amused by her confidence, how she boasted as if it was some sort of miracle cure. Its aroma awakened his appetite, and he was looking forward to trying it. Ooh, wait, it might be too hot, she murmured and absent-mindedly brought the spoon to her lips to lightly taste it. Just then, she froze. Why did she do that? She'd gotten so used to testing food for Max that it had become second nature. She glanced up, embarrassed. Sorry, bad habit. I'll go get a clean spoon. She stood up when he suddenly pulled her hand with the spoon in it to his mouth and swallowed the spoonful of soup without hesitation. Not bad, he calmly declared. She was stunned. But don't you have a thing about germs? Javier turned to her, his expression indifferent. I tasted you directly when we kissed. You think I'd care about something as trivial as this? Amelia's face turned red. How could he bring up the kiss without even a hint of embarrassment? Then she remembered something and huffed. Ah, I thought you said you forgot about that. Maybe the explosion knocked it back into me. He said it in a light tone, as if joking, but his reference to the bombing reminded her of the dread she felt that day, and her heart clenched, grateful he was alive and here with her now. She fed him another spoonful and asked softly, Does it hurt much? Javier's eyes softened upon seeing her worried gaze, filled with unspoken care. It stirred something deep within him, and for a long moment he simply stared at her. His voice was low and teasing when he finally spoke. Why? Are you worried about me? Amelia nearly blurted out an honest yes, but at the last second held herself back. Everyone is worried about you. You're Spain's most cherished prince. Yesterday, when the news reported you might be injured, my colleagues and I were just as concerned as everyone else. Javier's eyes hardened slightly, and he asked coolly, Is that all? Amelia pretended not to understand what he meant by, is that all, and deftly changed the subject. The soup is best while it's hot. Drink up so you can get your strength and put your country's mind at ease. As she spoke, she brought another spoonful to his lips, and his probing gaze lingered on her face as he searched for something in her eyes, but eventually gave up. Javier's demeanor suddenly chilled, and the earlier moment of intimacy between them dissipated without a trace. Meanwhile, Amelia's mind swirled with thoughts of how deep her worry for him truly ran. The next morning, Dr. Marquez arrived to examine Javier. Amelia gave him a rundown of the previous evening. He had a fever all night, but with the cold water treatment, it eventually subsided. His appetite has been low, but he managed a bowl of soup last night and another when he woke. He's been groggy and barely awake all morning. Is that normal, Doctor? Dr. Marquez nodded thoughtfully. Given the severity of his injuries, this is to be expected. I'm going to change his dressings now, and will need your help. Amelia followed him back into Javier's room. Of course. Javier was asleep when they returned. Following Dr. Marquez's instructions, she grabbed a pair of scissors to cut away the bandages on Javier's chest. But before she could make the first snip, his eyes snapped open. Seeing her leaning over him with scissors in hand, Javier frowned slightly. What's going on? Oh, the doctor is here to change your dressings. It might hurt a bit. Her soft tone seemed to melt the tension in his brow. His eyes were heavy with sleep as he demanded, Give me the scissors. You can leave. She shot him a challenging glare. Dr. Marquez asked for my assistance. I can't just leave. Manuel, send her out. He ordered the doctor and reached out to take the scissors. But she quickly moved them back. His frown deepened. Was this woman taking advantage of his weak state? Dr. Marquez glanced meaningfully between the two of them, and a smirk tugged at his lips. Amelia, the injuries on his body are quite graphic. Javier's just worried they'll upset you. So if you're uncomfortable, you can step outside and I'll handle this. Javier's piercing gaze shot his way. Who told this guy to speak for him? Amelia blinked, surprised. Was he really pushing her away because he worried his wounds might upset her? The fact that he didn't deny it seemed to confirm the doctor's words. Her heart softened, and she gave him a soft smile. It's all right. I'm not squeamish. I can stay if my assistants will help the doctor treat your wounds properly. Dr. Marquez nodded. An extra pair of hands would be best. Javier's displeasure was evident. So these two are just going to ignore the orders of the prince. Amelia proceeded to carefully cut away the bandages on Javier's chest and arms. Each movement was slow and deliberate. Her breath hitched with every snip. The wounds, now fully revealed, were as grim as she remembered. The thought of the pain he must have endured made her heart ache for him. Don't force yourself, Javier murmured, sensing her unease. Don't underestimate me, she shot back before refocusing on her task. I may not look it, but I've been through my share of tough situations. Javier glanced at her, intrigued, and asked casually, Oh, and what tough situations have you faced? Amelia smiled proudly to herself in remembrance. Well, when I gave birth to Max, I suffered severe blood loss. The doctor said I was on the brink of death and even issued a critical condition notice to my father. But I pulled through. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here now. So, does that count as a tough enough situation for the prince? She spoke lightly, as if the life-threatening ordeal was just a passing memory. When she shifted a playful glance to Javier, his brow twitched in disapproval. How could she smile after recounting something so brutal? His expression darkened over the image of an unconscious Amelia bleeding on the surgical table. Though it was in the past, he felt unsettled knowing how helpless he would have been in the situation had he not missed Max's birth. Don't be so serious, she said, sticking out her tongue at him. Fine, maybe this wasn't the time to bring that up. Javier's eyes followed her as Amelia diligently focused on her task. When she looked down and suddenly met his gaze, his eyes held a deep, complex emotion she couldn't decipher, but it made her heart skip a beat. She quickly looked away, feeling her pulse race. She said nothing as she continued working, but her mind couldn't stop replaying that moment. Once all the bandages were off, it was time for Dr. Marquez to apply medicine to his injuries. The doctor warned, Javier, this will cause some discomfort. Brace yourself and just say stop when you need to catch your breath, okay? Javier braced himself, and when the potent ointment touched his wounds, he gripped the bed sheets tightly. Ugh. The searing pain turned his face pale, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Yet, despite the agony, he clenched his teeth and remained silent. Watching him endure without complaint made Amelia's heart twist with anguish. He was on the verge of passing out when she knelt close by his side. Hey, just focus on me. Take my hand and squeeze as hard as you need.
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.
Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.